my God, seems to you like you're really looking it. I don't know what to say.
Thank you so much.
I'm just going to welcome everyone. I just want to appreciate Mrs. Fanny for having me on the platform too. And yeah, we are discussing raising kids, not just kids, raising excellent kids and boosting their smartness by way of nutrition. Can everyone hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, Miss Tosin.
Right. So I'll just jump right in. Yeah, raising excellent kids. I want to say, Mrs. Simi, you just put such a brilliant idea together, and we always tempted as mothers. I believe. Okay, let me just say parents rather, because I think we have fathers in the house too. So I'll just say parents, but particularly I really want to talk to the mothers. And there's this vision of feeding our kids with what we are used to, what has been handed over to us by parents, or parents, and all of that. So, and then we just don't into it. We just give them whatever we think. Oh, it's good, even though we don't know the genesis or we don't know the nutritional value of those things we're feeding our children with. And basically, I want to say before I get right into it that being on this platform, I believe we are willing, and not just willing, we are ready to actually give what it takes to raise up this excellent kids and raise up this smart kids. And we want to do that in just one aspect of raising it up, taking us to the most important aspect. And this one aspect too, that is the nutrition, is also an imperative. I do not want to jeopardize that. We want to raise smart kids. No woman, no mother, no father want to have a dumb baby as a child, and so if we're really going to raise a smart kid, we must give it what it takes. And I believe, this platform, this evening, we are not just doing it, as I've said before, we are ready to give it what it takes. So I'll just jump right in and conclude that we really want to have we want to change what we have been doing before now. We really want to, boost it up. Maybe we've been doing it right before, or maybe we have not really been doing it right before, but right now I believe we want to have, some tips on how really to get it right. Now, talking about smartness, of course, we're not talking about physical smartness. Can we hear me? Mrs. Femi?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay. Now we're talking about smartness, how to boost our kids' smartness and all of that. Of course, we know we're not talking about physical smartness. We're not talking about putting them on cute dresses and all of that. Of course, we love our kids to look beautiful. I love beautiful kids too. But more than just being beautiful from the outside, we want them to be beautiful even from the upside. So with this, we want to do that through nutrition, through what we feed them with. Nutrition basically is process of food and for necessary health and growth and then development. And basically what we want to do is to feed them with those boosters that will actually help them to be mentally smart and be up to equals. We always want to see our kids up there doing great and all of that. And so really top on the list, I would say that to go about it, the first thing a mother or a parent want to do is exactly what benefit does this food or this diet I'm feeding my child with, exactly what benefit does it have in the child's body. Now you want to look at his overall, the child's overall health. The physical aspect is an aspect. The physical aspect is just one aspect too. But right now we are really want to look at the mental of us are really doing now, really want to gain income like this, cannot really capture everything. So we really want to invest your time in it. Exactly, okay, if I'm feeding my child with rice and beans, what nutrients does it have to his body or to her body? What value does it add to whatever it is, and how does it bring about growth? When we talk about growth and development, we're not really talking about what's it called now, a tall child, a puppy child, or something like that. But we really want a healthy child, not just a child you're just feeding the child with drugs and the child is getting big and ultimately become unproductive. We want children that are smart. We want children that will really be up to what they ought to do at every stage and every point in time. And so the first thing, I believe I'm talking to parents that have been doing this before. This is not their first kid, perhaps it's not their second kid, and all of that. And so we have been feeding our children. But one thing about nutrition is it helps you to track the development of the child, not just the growth. Oh, my child is growing. My child is 4 years old now. My child is 5 years old now. Yeah, it's going taller. She's going taller. No, it's just and all of that. So it's about, okay, my child is growing. Okay, my child is at age 4 now. Is she doing what a normal child at age 4 should do? My child is 6 years old now. Is he doing the normal thing mentally, physically? Are we together? So I want to track all of those things. And one way we can really track all of those things, oh my God, my battery went low. And one way we can really track all of those things is really through proper nutrition. When we know what we are feeding our children with, when we know the benefits of what we are feeding our children with, it gives us a better hedge to track their progress, to track their development. And so I would say, well, boosting their smartness by way of nutrition, yeah. There's this mentality, or should I just say, the kind of culture, maybe going around here, we feel, oh, daddy owns the biggest meat in the pot, or mommy owns the biggest fish in the pot, and then we deprive those kids of what they ought to eat. We give daddy the biggest meat, we give mommy the biggest fish, and we give the children very little ones that really will boost their, oh my God, I think I'm running out. We give these children what really will not sustain them, or will not keep them, or will not, grow their mental capacity. Top on the list, and I've really streamlined it to things that we can really find in our environment, things that are really, really accessible. And one thing that one meal or one one food that is really accessible to us, and that we almost often, neglect in the meals of our children, but sometimes is egg. When we talk about egg is so packed with a lot of nutrients. And before I go there, permit me, I want to say that boosting our kids' smartness, actually we need to first get them into the right state of mind. What I mean by that is that we need to put their happy hormones, like, okay, mommy's gonna prepare fried rice today, right? It kind of triggers a rush in the child and put the child in a kind of happy mood, put the child in a kind of excited mood, and that way, whatever you ask that child to do, if you have noticed that, if you just say, oh, this Saturday or this Sunday we'll be preparing fried rice and chicken, perhaps it's not something that's really common, that we don't really prepare, because I would say that maybe around here, we occasionally prepare what gives us joy, we occasionally prepare what gives us happiness, because we reserve them for festive periods like Christmas and Easter and all of that. And so when you tell the child, okay, you're preparing this weekend, wow, mommy really doesn't mean that. And then the child is just in the right state of mind. Whatever you send that child at that moment, the child will do. If you ask the child to do whatever the child will do, you're putting that child in the right state of mind. And so to really boost their smartness, to boost their mental capacity and mental sharpness, we really need to put them in the right state of mind. And of course, we can do that through nutrition. There are lots and lots of food, there are lots and lots vegetables, fruits that we can really use to boost these happy hormones. Some of these hormones are, we have dopamine, we have serotonin, we have tryptophan, and tryptophan is one major happy hormone that you can really find in eggs. We can find dopamine, we can find serotonin in other fruits and vegetables too. All those things boost their, their happiness. It boosts their happiness. So when a child is really in the right state of mind, you just can see the child with whatever mental, whatever thing, whatever course, whatever you want the child to learn, the child will just, fit in. You want to imagine a child that is maybe hungry. You want to imagine a child that is, perhaps even hungry, and you really want to teach this child. And you're forcing whatever it is you want the child to learn, you're forcing it, junking it into his head, and the child is just not putting. Because the child is not in the right frame of mind. The child is not putting, the child is not responding, and you're like, why? By the time I beat the child out of you, you will respond.
Sorry for interrupting, Mr. C. Kindly plug in your charger. I heard you saying you were running out the other time.
It's alright. It's plugged in.
Okay.
It's plugged in.
Sorry for interrupting.
It's plugged in. No problem. And so we just kind of want to junk everything into the child's brain, and you're like, okay, by the time I beat the hell out of you, you will get what it is. I'm going to tell you that, well, the child may actually get it at that moment, but it will not be retained.
Exactly.
It will not be retained. By the time you have the child other time, you have to beat the child up again. But when you put a child in an atmosphere like, the child is happy, the mood is good, and all of that, you will not just teach the child. You will expand the cognition of that child. Because by the time you teach the child the present thing you're teaching him or her, he or she will start relating it to another experience she or he has had. And you get to know, so you are developing their mental cognition. And that's so I do, apart from feeding them, we first need to put them, at the right state of mind, to get them in that frame of mind, and whatever else you give to them will actually fall in line. And so I was talking about eggs. Eggs contain, a bounty of tryptophan. Tryptophan is a happy hormone, and it's really it boosts that happiness, it boosts that excitement in children. Another thing that is really very important, that is really mandatory, that we have in eggs and some other foods, although they might be in little quantities, but we really have it packed in eggs, is choline. Choline is a mandatory element, it's a mandatory nutrient for every child. And so you might have heard, eat an egg every day, it's just what it is. Eggs are packed with all of these things. We also have poultry foods. We have fishes. Fishes are another brain booster, mental capacity booster. Like they contain good amount of omega-3. And omega-3 are just fatty acids that actually helps to stabilize the brain. They stabilize the brain, it fuels the brain. It also helps to repair nerve cells. These are things that are really, really what makes the learning of a child function, the learning capacity of the child, the memory, it helps the child to actually be in line with all of those things. When you feed the child with all those things, eggs, poultry, chicken breast, also turkey, and all of those things, they really, really are not just nutritious, not just help in developing them, making them good, but their mental capacity, and it's really, really boost their sharpness. And so another thing I want to tell is to quit junk. We're not just going to tell you what to do, we want to tell you what not to do. Packing children with junks, really, they are with no or empty calories. They are with no or empty calories. Junks, we know what we call junks. You just go into a fast food and just get something and all of that. The child, you might be growing physically, but really mentally, the child might really not be there. And so you need to what? You need to quit all of those junk foods. One other thing that really boosts the mental capacity of a child that boosts smartness is slow releasing carbs. Slow releasing carbs. When I say slow releasing carbs, of course, our nutrition based revolves around five classes of food. We know that we have the carbs, we have protein, we have water, we have vitamins given to a child in appropriate proportions. I love it the way WHO put their definition of nutrition, and it says nutrition is the intake of food considered in relation to the body's dietary needs. When we give the child, when we feed the child with too much of what is good, it can actually bounce back and cause something else. When we give the child what he needs, but in less quantity, it will really not work out. And you feel like, oh my God, I'm giving the child the right thing, but it's not working. So we need to watch out, okay, what are we giving the child, in what proportion? And so what are important is because when we give them food, we pass them with rice, we pass them with sweet potato, we pass them with just high releasing carbohydrates. When we pass them with all of these things, it makes the child hyperactive. When a child is hyperactive, although some parents can really rejoice in the fact that their children are hyperactive, but really it makes the child lack focus. It makes the child lack concentration. So it doesn't really boost smartness in kids. And that's why we want to look at how even our kids slow releasing carbohydrates with protein. And that is why it is important to balance this meal up. We've heard about balanced diets. We've learned so much about this adequate diet, giving the child the right proportion of all these nutrients, carbs, protein, fat, water, vitamins, and all of that. Now, there is something I want to mention here, and it's the fact that as mothers, as parents, we must learn how to prepare meals in different ways. There are children that really would not be fond of some food that are really beneficial to them. And so instead of totally depriving the children of those meals, you really need to work around how best can I prepare this thing that will be kind of acceptable to the child. Like eggs, some children cannot fond of eggs, some children don't like boiled eggs. Some children don't like boiled eggs. So we want to say, okay, if I scramble it, or if I fry it, or if I mix it up with perhaps some vegetables or fish or the child needs to be mixed. There 6 years of critical stage for them to build their mental. Really not from there. Because poor nutrition, of course, we know it will reduce their immunity. One, it will increase their susceptibility to diseases and also impair their physical and mental development. And ultimately, they will become unproductive. We don't want to have a child up there in the class, in the class, and then really the child is not contributing to anything. It makes the parent sick. Like, exactly what are you doing? What are you contributing to the class? But when we give them the right things that they want, they need, we don't feed a child with breakfast that the child will get into the class and start dozing off and all of that. So we really want to check that too. I hope I'm gonna have time. We really want to check that too. And so another thing is presenting the food. I think I've mentioned that earlier, but in a way that interests the child. We are dealing with kids here, and they can be really funny at times. That the way the meal is prepared or the meal is presented is not really what they want. Now I'm going to leave that, and I want to talk about trace nutrients. There are some nutrients that we really don't get from all the carbs that we feed ourselves with: potato, rice, beans, and even swallows. All these nutrients, we call them trace nutrients, and they are elements that are really needed in minute quantities They are neither the minute quantities, but they are really hard them because they release a lot of omega-3. They release a lot of fatty acids that help the child grow mentally and really, really healthy. Now there was this study going in Baghdad. It's about they really wanted to know how does nutrition contribute to the mental capacity or the mental sharpness of kids. Now they ran a test, they ran the study, and then they discovered that children that are fed with fruits, vegetables, omega-3 sources, and eggs, poultry, and some of these foods that are really, really mental health boosters, they discovered that children who feed well, especially on oily cheese, are better right in school in their cognitive activities rather than all those children that really weren't into eating all of those things. And so a lot of research has gone into this, and it's not just we talking and all of that. It's been proven that all of these meals, and that's why they are important to inject them into the diet of our children. We really want to build that cognition that we want, that cognitive development, that smartness, that sharpness that we want in our kids. And
I guess Ms. Tosin is having network issues.
not just having them, not just having them. Hello?
We are here. We are with you.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Hear me? Do I still have some time?
Yes, you do. You have an hour, actually.
I need to prepare for an hour, actually.
Oh.
I need to else. So I was thinking of wrapping up here. I need to be somewhere else.
Yes, if anyone has questions, we can ask when you're done with your speech.
I'll be wrapping up in 2 minutes time or less than. Sorry, I'm getting a reminder for where I need to be right now. I'm sorry.
Okay, there's no problem.
Okay, I just want to wrap up by saying that as much as we want to feed our children with all of this diet, as much as we want to give them the best, we also must be sensitive to their health needs. We also must be sensitive to what they react to their allergies. Now, a lot of kids have died of allergies that are really, really severe. They call it anaphylaxis. It's a severe form of allergy that can really keep off the breathing system of the child and just start just gas out like that. So we must be really, really careful what we feed them with. Even though it's the right meal, their body can actually react to it and see it as a foreign object and then start attacking the body. So we must, get, okay, what is the health need of my child? And we need to work their diets around that. So whatever we are feeding our children with, we must be very, very sure that they are not attacking their body, they are not attacking their health. So we must, I think, most doctors, by the time you visit, we just must be sensitive. You might think it's just some kind of reaction or or something really little or very light, but the child might actually be reacting to it, and if it becomes so severe, it can actually take the child's life. So as much as we want to feed them with all of these things, as much as we want to help them, improve their mental capacity, we must always be sensitive to whatever they are allergic to, and we should try as much as possible. If we can't feed them directly with those nutrients, we should get supplements. Are we there? So we should just get supplements for that. I for one, I reacted to a lot of fruits, a lot of food as I was growing up. But then I actually came out of it, but it wasn't really a palatable experience back then. So I had to cut off a lot of things. So as mothers, we should please look into it. You just need to invest some time into it. What I want to give my child, or what benefit is it? What nutrient does it give to the child, and how does it boost whatever aspect of that child's health that I really wanted to develop? So we really need to invest our time into studying all of these things, and we just be right on the track. So I really want to appreciate Amy for having me on the platform. Thank you so much. Time here. I'm really sorry. I need to be somewhere else for me.
So thank you so much. In fact, it's been an eye-opener. I mean, I'm just getting to know something. Yes, I used to know some things, but right now I'm getting to know some other things, some aspect of how you can boost your kids' smartness with the food you gave them. Sometimes some parents will just focus on their spiritual aspects or other aspects, leaving this nutrition, this boosting their smartness with whatever nutrition you feed them with. It is very important. It is very important because before you can see your kid perform excellently in every other area, you first need to know what is going into them before you can be sure of what will come out of them. So thank you so much. Do we have anyone with a question before we release Ms. Tosin? She needs to be somewhere else right now. Do we have any question? Parents in the house, mothers in the house, fathers in the house. Do we have any question? If none, can we just unmute ourselves and say thank you, Ms. Tosin? Let's unmute ourselves and say thank you, Ms. Tosin. Okay, because no one is coming up. So thank you so much, Ms. Tosin. I believe if we call on you next time, you will count it an honor to come, to honor our invitation. So thank you so much. I've learned a lot, and I believe parents in the house have learned as well. So thank you. We are grateful. Mr. Singh, are you still there? All right, so before we have Coach David Lawal come to speak to us about how we can create global platforms for our kids, how we can prepare them for global platforms. Parents in the house, I just want you to tell us some of your experiences with your kids when it comes to nutrition and all that. I just want to hear maybe 2 or 3 parents speak. I believe even if you don't have a kid, you must have, in one way or the other, you must have come across a kid, or you lived somewhere, they have kids, and you've been able to interact with those kids. So I just want to hear your experience or experiences with kids. Or probably you're a teacher and teaching in schools, you must have seen a difference in some kids. Some kids are just extra smart, while some you just need to be calm and patient with them at the pace at which they learn. So can you just tell us some of your experiences, parents in the house? I'd like to hear Mrs. Tolulope Fagbolu. Mrs. Tolulope, she was here yesterday from Sierra Leone. Let's hear you, please.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, the network was logging in out and I was being logged in, so I just heard my name. That's why I had to mute myself.
Okay.
Are you asking any questions?
Yes, I said, can you just tell us, actually, before Ms. Tosin left, I asked if anyone has a question, but no one asked any question. So I was asking I want parents to just tell us some of your experiences with your kids. Or if you are a teacher, what are the experiences you have with kids? Probably you have 2 or 3 kids, and one is just extra smart, but the other ones are just, and you know that you've actually fed them with the same nutrients. They eat the same food. So what can you say about that? Just tell us some of these experiences.
Okay, thank you. For me, let me talk from the practical aspect. I have 2 kids and I teach them equally. But fortunately or unfortunately, one of them will not take all the good nutrients. We like to take joy. And for who I am, I don't have drugs in the house, so I try to force her to eat one of those good food. And I noticed what I noticed is their immunity. Whenever the other one that eats well, that takes all those good food, whenever it comes to, within the day, it will have that. But the other one that doesn't eat well, for a week, I will be sour that because she will be so weak. I mean, the malaria would have not calmed down, and I'll be like, this is your problem. Those are not eating well. Look at your brother, he's fat. Because I noticed that both of them will just at the same time, during the same period. And that's the reason because the same mosquito, they are not only mosquitoes that bite the other one, as eating the other person. So that's why they are just doing the same way. But one thing about nutrients is that when they eat good food, it keeps their immunity as children. And I noticed that like that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So now we can see that feeding your kids with the right food can actually affect them in every area. Apart from the fact that they'll be smart in school, they will do so well in the academics. We can hear what she said now. It's boosts their immunity. One will be sick, but because he or she feeds well, he quickly bounces back. But the other one who feeds on junk, will just, you will have to treat the sickness for so long. I had a parent, she told me about her kids. She said that, do you know that for a whole year, I have never visited the hospital? And I was so amazed because I lived with my aunts, and within a week, either one is in the hospital or the other one, and you just feel what is really going on. And it's not as if these kids are not feeding well. So, nutrients contribute a lot to their immunity. And as parents, we can't just, we can't just allow anything to go into these kids. You need to be very careful, know what they take even when you're not there, and be very sure you teach them. One of the mistakes we make is enforcing it on them. No, you have to let them know reasons why they need to take it. Sometimes kids don't just want you to force things on them. They just want you to take it good. Why do I need to do that? Why should I take this? Why should I eat it? Why should I go there? That's just children for you. They want to know the reason you want them, especially kids in this day, in our present day. They just want to know, why do you want me to do this? If you're not telling me the reasons, if you're not giving me any reason, then I'm not doing it. And if you want to go hard, you want to be harsh on them, yes, they will do it right there. But you can be very sure after you've left, they are back to their normal way. So kids they're very, very amazing. And as kids, we need to know their uniqueness. Like she said, a kid likes eating junks while the other feed well. Some kids just, it's not as if you've taught them to like those things or you've trained them with those things, but naturally they just grow to like those things. So you need to know their uniqueness and also relate with them based on that. And like I said earlier, don't force things down their throats. Let them know, reason together. Let them know why you want them to do it. Okay, if you do this, this is the result you will get. You know, can you see this particular kid? Can you see, although it is very wrong for you to compare kids, but at least in some instances, you can tell them, if you do this, this is the result you will get. So let them know why they need to do it. For the kind of results you want, the kind of results you want to achieve. So you need to synergize, you need to do things together, not just enforcing your own instructions as parents. Do it together. Come together, okay? How best can we achieve this? For instance, a kid that doesn't like to read, you tell the kid, go and take your book, and before you know it, the kid is stressed out and, doesn't want to do that. You need to sit down and, some parents will just be like, I want you to be a lawyer. So if you read, if you study, you definitely get good grades so that you can achieve. No, life is not like that. A child, if you're telling a child, this is what I want you to be, and the child is not interested in what you're interested in, you created a kind of conflict. So you really need to understand your kid and also let them know why you want them to do what you want them to do. So on this note, I'll welcome Coach David Lawal. You're welcome. Building our kids to take up global platforms, building them up to be able to associate with their global counterparts, because you're not just building a kid that will just fit into the local world. You want them to go global. So apart from their spiritual aspects, spiritual life, their mental life, taking care of their nutrition and all that, we also need to build them to take up global platforms and build into them a global mindset. So welcome, Coach David.
Thank you, Coach Payme. Good to be here on the platform again. All for the first time, really. Yeah, I was here yesterday when Pastor Blessing Awolu was teaching. I was here for a little while before I quickly jumped off to attend to the International Masterful Speakers Masterclass. But I'm here now, fully today, and I've enjoyed the session from Miss Oluwatosin Adisa. I regret that she had to quickly jump off to another meeting, but thank you for that session you have just led. So are we good to go?
Yes, we are.
Someone is ringing my line. I don't know who that is. Okay, I can't even find the phone. Pardon me, please.
It's okay.
All right. Let's do this. Is there anything you want to say before I get into it? Miss Payme, Mrs. Payme, not Miss Payme, Mrs. Payme. Pardon me. Is there anything you want to say before I get into it?
You can just go on.
All right. I want to appreciate Mrs. Payme Awolu and Pastor Blessing Awolu for putting together this conference. The last year's conference was such a powerful one, and this year has been a sort of an upgrade, and I'm so happy that I am privileged to be a part of it. So I have been given an amazing task to do today, and I'm to speak on building confidence and self-esteem in kids and training kids for the global world. And I would not move ahead without acknowledging the presence of my amazing friends, Muyiwa Oluwatobi, most masterful speaker Joshua A. Oluwatoba, and then my namesake David Agbola Olalekan, Mr. I should say, or Pastor. Then I want to appreciate our friend, our mommy, all the way from what's that country again? I'm trying to remember. All the way from that country overseas, Mrs. Tolulokpe Fagbolu. If anything happens, if I jump off, I want to crave the indulgence of Mrs. Payme to just stand in for me for about 2-3 minutes, and then I'll be back. I think it's possible that my GN is trying to trip off. Maybe I have to fill it with fall. So could you please hang on, friends, for like 2 minutes? I mean, this is such a bad thing. Just hang on for 2 minutes, I'll be back, okay? Please.
Yes, no problem.
All right. Sorry about that. That hardly happens.
So, as parents, what can you say about confidence? I mean, building confidence into your kids. Building confidence into kids. Because most times when we say a kid is confident, it tends to mean like the kid is becoming arrogant or proud. But we can still not neglect the fact that we need to build a confident kid. And right now, we need to draw the line. Draw the line between being confident and being arrogant. Because some parents have really trained their kids to be arrogant, in quotes, disrespectful. Actually, that wasn't their intention, but along the line, they built that mentality into the kid. Like, just say your mind. Anywhere you are, just speak your mind. Is it about speaking your mind? There's nothing anyone can do to you. It's not really about you just saying whatever comes to your mind. That's not confidence. Confidence is actually you sitting down to think about what you want to say and how to relay your message. Not just your child opening their mouth and just talking. You really need to draw the line between a confident child and an arrogant child. I usually tell parents, no, that you want your kid to have that self-esteem and be able to talk anywhere. Doesn't mean the child should just talk to anyone anyhow. No, we have culture in this country. We have culture, and I can vividly say that there are good aspects of our culture which we can impute into our kids. There are bad aspects of the culture anyway, but there are good aspects. Our children must be cultured. They must be cultured alongside being confident. And also, like I said earlier, you are not building a kid that will just, compete with the local counterparts. No, you want to build a kid that could fit into the global world, because the word is not you. Your fight is not here. Just like John Obidi usually say, your fight is not here. You are fighting. The global audience. You're fighting. Your target should be the global world, not your locality. You're not building your kids to just find themselves in their locality. You're building confidence into your kids so that they can, take hold and take charge of the global world. Okay, we're still expecting Coach David Lawal. So, like I said earlier, do we have any other person who could tell us maybe some of their experiences with kids? You're a teacher, you've been with kids, or you're a parent, you have kids. Can you tell us some of these experiences? Some kids are just too smart. So can we even say that smartness is could be natural? Like it's natural, it's inborn. Or can we say it could be built into the kids? What I'm trying to say is, can we say a child is naturally smart, or that smartness could be built into the kid? Yeah, most times we have what we call heredity versus environment. Heredity, sharing hormones from the mother, from the father, it also affects their smartness and all that. Then environment also contributes a lot. Even if a child is naturally smart, that their environment is not enabling, you can be very sure that the child might not really be that smart. Although the father is smart, the mother is smart, and you expect the child to just be smart naturally. Sometimes it wouldn't happen that way. Environment also affects the child. You're welcome back, Coach David.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Coach Payme. Thank you, Mrs. Payme. And I'm really sorry, audience. Thank you for sticking around. I'm so blessed. That's what happens once in a while in a virtual context. But I want to promise you that you're going to have a beautiful time here this evening, okay? I'm often called the Masterful Speakers Coach, but I'm not really interested in speaking masterfully this evening. I'm just interested in having a conversation, with all of you. And I do hope that we'll have the best of conversation together this evening. Let me put this on so that we can have good audio quality when we are checking out the replay. Okay, so I have been, as I told you earlier, asked to speak on building confidence and self-esteem in kids and training kids for the global world. So that's what I've been asked to address by Mrs. Payme. I want to begin by saying that some of the key things for us to actually consider this evening will be confidence, and there will be self-esteem, and there will be the global world. As Coach Payme has already said, we're not just training our kids for effective interaction or flourishing in a local context. We want to make sure that they're able to also flourish on the global stage, so that wherever they get to, they are still excellent. That's the real definition of excellence, right? It's not been a local champion. It's been a champion wherever they find themselves in. Now, why am I qualified to speak on this subject today? I'm qualified to speak on this subject today because I did not get that kind of training. Okay, that's the reason I'm qualified. There is a story about two men who actually turned out differently. Their father was an alcoholic, and one of the children turned out to be an alcoholic, while the other did not turn out to be an alcoholic, turned out to be a perfect gentleman who did a lot of amazing things with his life. And these two people were asked, why did you become an alcoholic and why did you not become an alcoholic? So the one who became an alcoholic said, I became an alcoholic because I looked at my father. I followed in his footsteps. And the other one, who turned out to be a perfect gentleman, said, I looked at my father and I made up my mind I was never going to be an alcoholic. So I believe that many of us on the call today can actually make up our mind that we're going to train our kids for global relevance, not because we had that kind of training, but some of us have been able to reinvent ourselves, right? And today, I'm a founder of an organization that has trainers from the UK, USA, Canada, South Africa, Ghana, Cameroon, Nigeria, and several other parts of the world. In fact, yesterday, I had this opening ceremony with a particular school in Gambia. It's called the University of the Gambia. And we had this fantastic interaction with speakers from there. And so our organization is spreading its tentacles to Gambia and to many other countries in Africa and several other countries around the world. But I was not in that sort of environment that would groom me for global relevance when I was younger. But I've made up my mind that, I'm going to train my kid and make sure that my kid becomes one who really is prepared for global relevance so that, he can play well and assist people around him or her, and then also be able to impact people all around the world. Now, I want to begin also by saying to you that confidence may be the revolving factor, maybe the factor that everything would revolve around. Confidence. Now, I'm not so much of a fan of self-esteem. If you know me a bit, sometimes I feel that people should stop bothering about self-esteem, because if you know a bit about me, you would know I'm not the one with the best self-esteem in the world. I do not have such a massive self-esteem, but do I have some confidence? I guess I do. So I think I believe that people should begin to focus more on confidence. And I often discourage people from just chasing after confidence. I tell people, see, the proper way to chase after confidence is not to chase after it. Because if you do, you're chasing after a butterfly. If you grab the butterfly, you're going to destroy its beauty or kill it. But if you continue working on other things and the butterfly comes and lands on your shoulders, oh my God, that's the way confidence works. So you see, confidence is a product of two things. It is a product of your child or you seeing two things in yourself. Number one, you see value in yourself. You see value in who you are. Okay, so here is it. Your goal when you're trying to develop confidence in your child is that you want to do two things. You want to make sure that your child looks at himself or herself and say, I see value in who I am. And then the second thing you want to make sure you achieve is that the second thing you want to make sure you achieve. I want to say a shout out to one of our friends from Gambia. You see, we have a friend from Gambia tonight. Awesome. So welcome, Wadai or something. I don't know what the name is. I can say, okay, Kujai, an amazing friend from Gambia. You're welcome. Okay, so the first thing is that you want to train your child to see value in who they are. That's really identity. The second is that you want to make sure that you train your child to the point that the child will look at themselves and say, I see value in what I do. I see value in what I give. I see value in what I bring to the table. So if I'm going to just summarize those two things, I would say that your goal is to make sure that you train your child so that he can see the significance of his or her, and number two, the significance of his or her contribution. So the significance of my identity and the significance of my contribution. Before I move too further forward, I want to quickly say that there are three aspects that if you want to build somebody or your child or anybody for global relevance, there are three aspects you want to focus on, because, life is so broad. But if you focus on these three aspects of your life, you will become a complete whole person. Number one, if you chase development in your life, about living, it's excellence in living. So you can say that what you're trying to accomplish is to train your child to achieve excellence in the way he or she lives. So you want to train your child in the way he or she lives for excellence. So you are chasing excellence in the way. I would rather than saying your child, that's a bit difficult for me. Let me just direct it to you because you are the parent. You're not so different from your child. So whatever I said to you, go do it for your child. Okay. I prefer the you thing. I like it more when I'm speaking directly to the person. You get. So let me say it this way. Be excellent in the way that you live. Be excellent in the way that you love. Be excellent in the way that you lead. So what you're trying to tell your kid in training your kid, the goal you're trying to set for your kid, the goal of excellence you're trying to set for your kid is that you want your kid, let it be the constant mantra of your kid. I want to be excellent in the way I live. I want to be excellent in the way I love. I want to be excellent in the way I lead. I want to be excellent in the way I live, in the way I love, in the way I lead. Or I think that's not so much of an affirmation. An affirmation would go like this. I am excellent in the way I live. I am excellent in the way I love. I am excellent in the way I lead. See, if you can achieve excellence in the way you live, in the way you love, and in the way you lead, you are a whole person. What else do we need? What else does the world need more than that? The world is in desperate need of people who are truly and cheerfully alive, not those who are merely or luckily not dead. Let me say that again. The world is in desperate need of people who are truly and cheerfully alive, not those who are merely or luckily not dead. So I want to ask you the question, are you truly alive? You know, we are all survivors of something. In fact, every one of us is a survivor, at least amongst millions of other dead sperm cells. So I want to ask you, as you're living right now, and for your kid, do you want your kid to just merely just be not dead? You know, when they look at the kid and say, oh, I just know you are not dead. Or do you want your kid to be really, truly alive, bustling with energy and passion and vibrancy? Is that what you want for your kid? I can remember what Miss Tosin told us in the first session, how that there has to be this happiness about our kid, you know. That's the goal. You want your kid to be really on fire. Do you know what? See, ask not what the world needs. Ask what the world, ask what makes you come alive. In fact, when you're trying to train your kid, do not ask what the world is seeking. Ask what makes your kid come alive and train your kid on it. Because what the world needs is a kid who has come alive. That's all the world needs. So I want to really encourage you, friends and fathers and mothers in the house, or potential fathers and mothers in the house, make that your goal. I want my kid to be excellent in the way that he or she lives. The next thing is that I want my kid to be excellent in the way that he or she loves. You want your kid to be a love dispenser and not a love diminisher. The world is in desperate need of people who are love dispensers, not people who are love diminishers. You know, you dispense love, and people see the beauty in the life of your kid dispensing that love in the way that he or she gives to the classmates. And they're like, wow, I mean, is there still love on earth? And they just love it. They just love it. You want to train your kid in that way, in that sense. So that is it exactly. So you want to make sure that your kid is a love dispenser, not a love diminisher. You know, there are people, the way that they live their life, you just see them and you're like, I don't think true love exists. If this is the way love really is, I don't want to give it a try. I mean, love is so crazy. It breaks your heart and shatters it into pieces. You're just broken. I would rather just keep my heart in a casket, motionless, airless, as C.S. Lewis says, so that my heart will no longer be broken. But C.S. Lewis said, if you think you're going to wrap your heart around selfish hobbies and keep it in a casket that is black and airless and dry, so that it is untouched by even animals or by people, so that it's not broken. C.S. Lewis said, your heart will no longer be broken, but it will become irredeemable. It will become unbreakable. It will become so solid and so hard. It will not be able to warm anything in the world. So you don't want to raise kids like that. So you communicate it to them over and again from the beginning of their life. And you say, you know what, kids, say after me, you are one who is a love dispenser and not a love diminisher. So you want to raise your kids to be people who are excellent in the way that they love, not just in the way that they live, not just in the way that they love. Number three now, in the way that they lead. You want to raise kids because the world is in desperate need of people who love and lead change, not people who lack and limit change. The world is in desperate need of people who love and lead change, not people who lack and limit change. Every nation, every organization, every society, every group basically is in search, is in need of people who would love and lead change, not people who lack and limit change, not people who will be impediments in the progress and perfection of humanity, but people who will be fuelers, people who would be fire lighters, people who will be fire fanners, who will blaze the little flame into a mighty burning fire of love and change and transformation. That is exactly what you want your kid to turn out to be. That's what I want my kid to turn out to be. I don't know about you. If that's what you want your kid to turn out to be, tell me that's what I want my kid to turn out to be in the comment section. Please just do that for me. Do that for me. Let me know we are together. Let me know we are feeling this together. Let me know that we are catching this vision together. I'll just pause. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you in the chat section. I want to see the chat flowing you again. I also want this. I want this for my kids. Let me see that in the chat section. I want this for my kids. Yeah. That's what I want my kids to turn out to be. That's what I want my kids to turn out to be. People who are excellent in the way that they live, in the way that they love, in the way that they lead. You see, let me quickly say something about the way that they lead. You see, the world is not seeking for more people who are waiting for what other people would do for them. The world is not looking for, and no country is looking for youths or children. We're asking, what will my nation do for me? You know, as J.F. Kennedy said, ask not what America would do for you. Ask what you would do for America. And I think almost every president after JFK has said it. Ask not what your nation would do for you. Ask what you would do for your nation. You see, there are several phases of life. There was a time when all was given to us and nothing was expected of us. When we were kids, babies, 7-day-old, and we were in a like 1 month old and 2 months old and 1 year old and 2 years old. At that moment, everything was given to us. Nothing was expected from us. But later on, much was given to us, and then little was expected from us. That was a movement in our life. That was some progress. Much was given, but little was expected. At least you have to do the dishes and sweep the floor and do a number of things. Much given, little expected. It's not like you have to go work and bring money. It's not like you have to go fetch water ultimately, but you have to do the dishes, right? So much was given and then little was expected. But there came a time that little was given, particularly when you got to the university. Little was given, but much was expected. Like a lot of productivity was expected from you. And then it comes to a time that, little will be given to you. Okay, sorry. Much was when you're in the university setting. Much will be given to you, but much will be expected from you. That's the part I skipped. Okay, so that's a point of they're trying to. Okay, yeah. Your contribution now. We want your contribution. We want you to make a proof of investment. Give us a return on our investment, our ROI. You get a point, right? So much is given, but much is also expected. But there comes a time, little is given, and then much is expected, right? And then we now progress to a point. Now, many people do not progress to this point. This is the point of significance. This final point. Nothing is given to you by society, really, but everything is expected from you. You know, some of us go to churches where we give nothing to our pastor, but everything we want our pastor to give back to us. You get the point. So that pastor is operating on the pedestal of almost nothing given to him, but almost everything expected from him. You see, the greatest people in society are people who have risen to that level. They are the 1% that control the entirety of human race. They are the people who are really thinking for us. They are not so bothered about what you give to them. They are so consumed. They are so magnanimous to the point that they are so concerned about what they will give back to society. And then a parent is supposed to be like that. My kid isn't giving me anything, but I want to give everything to my kid. And don't be surprised, it's a gradual process. They will grow and they will move from, everything given to them, nothing expected, and then much given, then little expected, and then much given, and then much expected, and then little given, and then much expected. And pray you have a very responsible child so that there comes a time, nothing given, everything expected. Every parent prays for that kind of child, right? And let me tell you this, if you begin to drum it into them from the beginning, you are going to set them up. Now, I don't have time to go through reading Proverbs 31. Many of you love Proverbs 31, particularly from verse 10 downwards. But you don't know that from verse 1 to verse 9 is basically a parenting manual. This is a woman, the queen, who was given instruction to this King Lemuel, who was a son. And he was telling him, avoid women, avoid wine, so that it will not becloud your judgment. This is classic parenting advice. So if you need a parenting manual in the Old Testament, the Old Testament is filled with a lot of parenting manuals. Even in the Pentateuch, we read where they are to sit their children down and they are to bind the truth about their neck and to keep it as a memorial in their house and teach it to their kids over and over. But if you need a parenting manual, just one in sequence, go to Proverbs 31 from verse 1 to verse 9. That's a good parenting manual that you can actually extract things from. I know I've talked a lot this evening, but in order to wrap up, and this wrap it up is going to be very long, I want to just give some bullet points in a way that we can achieve some of the things that I have just mentioned. How that you are to train your child to see value in who your child is, the identity of your child, and then to see value in what your child does. Now, I believe that there are Christians on this call, and I believe that even if you're not a Christian, you do believe in the power of God, the omniscient, omnipotent, the omnipresent God, the sovereign God of the universe, who is the creator of us all, and who is the redeemer of us all, who holds our life in hand, who controls all the affairs of life. You do believe in the power of God. Let me tell you this. If you define the identity of your kid by their physical look or what they're able to accomplish, you are setting them up for disaster, because those things do not last. Those things will fade away. Those things will totally be shaken. But there is one unshakable foundation upon which you can build the identity of your kid. Build it on God. Let your child know that above all things, Isaiah 43:21, these people have I formed for myself. That's God speaking, and they shall show forth my praise. These people have I formed for myself, and they shall show forth my praise. I've often told people, shit. Oh, I'm back. That hardly happens to me. Okay, good. Are we together? Let me see the chat section. Are we together, friends?
Coach David, are you there?
Oh, yeah. I was on mute. I'm not used to being on mute. So, friends, if we are together, let me feel you in the comment section. Sorry about that. That was just a little hitch in the network. Okay, good. Let's keep moving. I'm really feeling it this evening. So I was telling you about Isaiah 43:21. I've always told people, see, your purpose is not missing. To find it, you have to stop searching. That's what I tell people. Let me tell you, my least favorite subject to talk about is purpose discovery. Oh, but that's exactly what a lot of people talk about. Okay, so let me show you something. The reason I don't like to talk about it is, if you know me a bit, I'm a bit unconventional in the way that I think. I feel that a lot of people go to conferences and seminars and workshops, and this is very important because we're talking about identity. Because you see, you want your kid to see value in himself or herself, in who he or she is. The question now is, who are you? And we know identity is not defined by how we look. I am not a beautiful boy. That's not my identity, right? I am not a sweet singing damsel. That's not really my identity. That could be what I do. That's my contribution, right? That's a bit of, oh, okay, maybe it's a part of my identity, but it's not a core of my identity. It's not a core of my identity. So in people, people are trying to find their identity, and sometimes we have parents who have not even discovered their purpose. So so let me just quickly dive into purpose discovery so that I can get my version of purpose discovery this evening. It's not very, very conventional, so I must warn you, it's not conventional. Okay, so I believe that people go to conferences and seminars and they read books on purpose discovery, and and I think in order for them to find their purpose, that's why they do that. But afterwards, I think they get more confused about their purpose even afterwards. Do you know why? The preacher or the speaker or the author of the book would establish from the very beginning that no one can show you your purpose except God. In other words, not even the pastor, not even the speaker, not even the writer or the author can help you discover your purpose. And let me tell you this, the summary of it all is very simple. No one can help you discover your purpose. And anyone who is smart will ultimately connect you to the God who defines your purpose for you. And let me tell you, you don't have to wait for him to speak into your ears. It's already there in scriptures. Isaiah 43:21. These people have I formed for myself. They shall show forth my praise. God did not form your child for medicine or nursing or surgery or architecture or law. He did not form him for any or computer science or coding. He did not form him for any of those things. Those things are contributions in which he can express the glory of God or to express his identity. Those are not things that would finally define the identity of your kid. So do not make the mistake that many parents make. In order for me to create a kind of identity for my kid, because I want my kid to be able to play on the global platform, then I need to get my kid into a system that is blazing out in the entire universe. No. That's not a point. The point is this. The first thing I tell people when I'm speaking on purpose discovery is this. Know this. Your purpose is not missing. You can't find it by searching for it. The first thing you need to do if you want to find your purpose is to stop searching. Stop the search. Embrace Isaiah 43:21. These people have I formed for myself. God speaking. And they shall show forth my praise. In fact, St. Augustine, I know some of you know about St. Augustine. St. Augustine said, our hearts were made for God, and they shall find no rest until they rest in him. Your kids' hearts are made for God. The heart is the core of our identity. Your kids' hearts are made for God. And they shall find no rest. They shall find no definition. They shall find no purpose until they find purpose or definition or rest in the God who made it. So that's the first thing I really want to establish for you. So how do you help these kids really to see value in who they are? You all know this. Often celebrate them. Ask yourself, do I often celebrate my kid, or do I often condemn my kid? I'm not saying you should not, correct them. But if you correct them more than you celebrate them, you're actually setting them up for a disaster, because they will be so on their toes, and they wouldn't tell you certain things. They wouldn't tell you things they're struggling with simply because you don't really celebrate them very much. So I think that's common knowledge. That's common knowledge. And then let me quickly say this. Teach them about what true beauty is. It was Albert Einstein who said, in this world, we figured that most things that are seen do not count, and most things that count are not seen. So teach your kids the real definition of true beauty. 1 Peter 3 verse 4 shows us what the real definition of true beauty is. In 1 Peter 3 verse 4, we read there, the Apostle Peter counseling people, basically women, and then men could use this, because I love 1 Peter 3, 4, even though it's not written to men. Okay, I love it. Because if I'm expecting this in a woman, I must also have it in my life. So 1 Peter 3 verse 4 says that, let our adorning not be that of the wearing of apparel or of jewelries. And let me say this, just in case you do not know, 1 Peter 3 verse 4 or verse 3 isn't saying that you shouldn't put on jewelries. Okay, that's not what it's saying. It's saying that, otherwise it was saying do not put on apparels, okay, because you can see apparels there. So not putting on of apparels or of jewelries or other things like that. Let it not be. What Peter is actually saying is, don't let that be the main definition of beauty for you. Don't let that be the main definition of attractiveness for you. Let me quickly say this. I'm going to branch. I was meditating on this passage of scriptures, and I want to identify the presence of Pastor Idowu in the house. Thank you for honoring. I'm so happy to have you around, sir. So let me quickly say this. There are people who, women who, when their husband is pulling away, they think that what they have to do is to deck themselves in the best of apparels, to deck themselves in the best of jewelries and all of those things. You see, if your husband is pulling away from spirituality and you are trying to deck yourself and make yourself more sensual, you're not going to pull your husband to God. You're going to arouse his flesh. And you're actually, that's the best you could do. And that's what Peter is saying. If you want to lift the spirit and lift the spirit up to God, so the best strategy is not for you to arouse his flesh. The best strategy is to arouse the spirit. And how do you do that? We keep reading in the verse, in verse 4. Let it not be, but let it be the hidden man of the heart. The ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. And I've always said it, God is not easily impressed. And if God is impressed by a meek and quiet spirit, oh my God, the entire world is going to be impressed by a meek and quiet spirit. It's going to be impressed by the magnanimity of the large-heartedness of your kid. So let it be in you and then pass it on to your kid. If you let me loose, I'm still going to keep speaking on 1 Peter 3, 4. Okay, so let me quickly move on to other points that I have here. So what I'm telling you is this. Teach them the true meaning of beauty. The true meaning of beauty. So that they're not looking at themselves, when they look at themselves in the mirror and they're not as good looking as the standards of the world, they wouldn't think, oh, I cannot make any global contribution. I tell my masterful speakers, when we bring all of these international speakers to the master class, do you know what I find amongst my masterful speakers? With the Nigerian speakers or the African speakers, they would unmute themselves and they would ask questions. But when it's somebody from the UK or Canada or South Africa, or is someone from the USA, do you know what? They would type the questions in the chats. They would not allow their camera to be turned on. And like, you know what? I've interacted with these people. They love your voice the way it is. For them, it's international. And they hear their own kind of voice every time. You don't want your kids to be defined by these things. For me, I'm interacting with people all around the world, not because I have the best of situations or circumstances or the best of training from the beginning, Now, my parents strove, they did their very best, they gave what they could, right? But they maybe never even really thought about this global relevance, when they were grooming us. And it may be that they thought about it because they prayed for us in that line, but it's the training now. They were not able, they did not have the means to take us through all of this trainings that would expose us for global relevance. So you see, if your kid is not defined by the way he or she looks or what he or she does, but is defined by that true beauty, the magnanimity, the power of large-heartedness. If your kid knows about that when he or she is excellent in the way that he or she lives, or in the way that he or she loves, or in the way that he or she leads, that kid is rising up to responsibility and spreading love, dispensing love into the world, and loving the people that other people aren't loving. Your kid is already doing things, and your kid isn't intimidated in any way by anybody. It's not about the way I look. It's about the fact that I'm stuffing myself up with value. Daddy believes in me. Mommy believes in me. Daddy believes I can speak with anybody in the world. Mommy believes I can speak with anybody in the world. Oh, I was at this event with the National Library. I was the guest speaker there. And after my own session, we had this session of a roundtable discussion with book clubs and authors and publishers from all around Oyo State at the National Library over here in Oyo State. So after I was just there, and this man came with his 10-year-old daughter. The man came with his 10-year-old daughter. And after the man spoke, the man took a sort of permission from everybody on the round table and said, I have my kid with me here. Could you please give my kid just 2 minutes to speak? Now, when the kid grabbed the microphone, the kid introduced herself as a dad's PA. Wow! Everybody started to clap. It was beautiful. And the kid said she wanted to contribute something about how that we can help kids read better in the school system. And let me tell you this, I kid you not, that was the best contribution in that. I kid you not, I'm not lying. I wish it were recorded. She had it written. I believe the father must have coached her to write it down, and she read it, and it was a beautiful strategy. A beautiful strategy that even the librarians from the University of Ibadan connected with this 10-year-old kid. Think about what that did for that kid. Think about what that did for that kid. I'm sure that kid, if it's a global gathering of authors, the father will still take the kid down to that event, and the father is going to speak. The father did not speak for too long. The father spoke so that the kid should get a chance to speak. Oh my God, I was doing that for my kid. I was doing that for my kid. You get a point. So I don't know if anyone is getting charged and inspired over here this evening, because really, I am the one speaking, but I'm getting charged and inspired myself. Okay, yeah. So let's keep moving. So now, if we've talked about identity, let's now talk about seeing value in what they do, in the contribution that they bring to the table. How do you begin to groom them for this kind of things, for global relevance? Why don't you involve them in some why don't you do early delegation of prestigious responsibilities to them? Early delegation of prestigious responsibilities. Notice what I said, prestigious responsibilities. I know the way that we've been doing it, the little way we've been doing it in the families, is that we've told them to pray, pray for us. And after they've prayed, in Jesus' name, you will not die. God will provide for us. I think that's the first thing that often comes up. You ask the kid to pray, right? Do I have a witness in the house? Isn't that the first thing that comes up when you say a kid should pray? In Jesus' name, will not die. Okay, let me hear from Coach Baby. Coach Baby, what are the things that they say? Let me quickly hear from you.
I've met kids, and that's the only statement they make when they want to pray. You will not die. God will provide for my father. Will not sick. And you just wonder, where do they get it from? I usually wonder.
I wonder.
You can be very sure that parents wouldn't just pray like that. They must have training them to pray in some other ways, but they are just more like it's been built into them.
I'm telling you. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. Anywhere in Nigeria, at least that I know, it doesn't matter. That's what I pray for. The first thing is that we'll not die. So that's why I told you at the beginning that you teach your child to be excellent in living, so that they are not just merely not dead. Okay, so they don't want to be dead, but make sure that they are bustling with life. They pray for the things that make life flourish, right? So let's keep moving. Let's keep moving, right? So you want to commit, some prestigious responsibilities into their heads. I'm not saying dishwashing, and that's very important. And that's why I said prestigious responsibilities. What if you bring them to a table and you say, "Oh, we are planning this holiday. Would you suggest somewhere you want us to go?" Now, they may have no idea. They may have no idea. But you know what? What you are doing is you are setting expectations. In fact, that's a phrase I want you guys to put in the chat. That's one classic phrase in parenting. It's called setting expectations. Setting expectations. Whatever you do in parenting is to set expectations. Oh, yeah. The mom is actually bearing witness in the house. She said, "Oh, she's giving us another version. You will not have accident." Oh, yeah. That's what the kids pray. So, yeah, setting expectations. That's exactly what your responsibility is as a parent. Every form of communication that you're having with these kids is basically to set expectations. So they may have no idea. But when you ask them, "Okay, you know what? Where do you think we should go for dinner this evening? I mean, we're going to have a family night out. And where do you think we should go?" The kids will just say, "Okay, let's go to," they will mention something, or "that place we saw when we were coming from church." Then you can say, "Oh, yeah. Can we go to somewhere better?" Kids love the word better. If it's like, "Okay, I love that place, but how about somewhere better?" It's like, "Oh, better? Yeah, let's go to somewhere better." And then you set the expectation. They're waiting for that somewhere better. And if it's that place that is suggested, you could go there first of all, grab maybe some ice cream, and say, "Okay, now let me take you to somewhere better." Because if they suggest it and you don't go there, they may think that their contribution is not valuable. So you could take them there, grab something little, maybe it's even a sweet, a piece of sweet, give it to them and say, "Let's now go to somewhere better," something like that. So just, there is no hard and fast rule to this. It's just about you setting expectations and involving them in prestigious responsibilities. Now, there is no script for parenting. I've just said this, but just keep it ringing in your head. Prestigious responsibilities. I want to make sure that I involve my children in prestigious responsibilities. How about, as they begin to grow, how about having them read the devotional? How about having them read the passage of the scriptures? How about having them do a sort of presentation on how parents can treat their kids better? Oh, yeah, you'll be surprised. just say, "Okay, today you're going to be doing a presentation for the entire family, and the topic I want to give to you is how a parent can treat her child better, or how parents can treat their children better." Definitely, they're going to come up with a few points and tell them, "I can coach you through it. Okay, if you want to write it, I can coach you through it." Or you can go to Auntie somebody to help you with it. Or, maybe their tutor who comes to teach them home lessons. Several ideas. I mean, you can't exhaust it. And that's why as parents must be very creative. Now, let me keep on moving in that part where you ought to build them up for significance, so that they can see the significance and the contribution that they are bringing to the table. Now, this one is very important. Build a healthy failure rate and rate of self-evolution in them through the power of yet. Let me summarize all of that by just saying, use the power of yet. There is a TED Talk, Coach Payme, remind me, there is a TED Talk. The title of the TED Talk is The Power of Yet. I think every parent needs this TED Talk. The power of yet. This TED Talk was delivered by a high school, a kindergarten teacher. Yeah. And so in this school, basically, what they did was, if a child did not get something correctly, they would say, you did not get, for example, rather than using the cross sign, like that's wrong, they would dot it, and then they would comment in the end that this child did not get, as a child, you did not get 7. No, you got let me put it in the correct order. You did not, no, you got 7 not yet. You got 7 points not yet. Do you get that? So you got 7 points, yeah, and then you got 7 points not yet. That's you got the point. So that actually, Coach Baby, you want to say something? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to create some other things around it. You got 10 points not yet. You got 8 points not yet.
Exactly. Not yet. So it's the power of yet. The power of yet. Because when you tell a child, you did not get 7, how would you not get 7 correctly? Oh, come on, that's terrible of you. And you flog them for not getting 7 correctly. Now, I know this is Africa, but we could use some of the psychology, the power of not yet. When you tell a child, you got 10 not yet. So what that tells the child is this: that yeah, it's okay for me to fail. I mean, failure is not a terrible thing, because you know what? Something that can damage their identity later is failure. Muhammad's always told me I'm amazing, I'm brilliant, and now I failed. Maybe it's at a relationship. I've always thought I'm the hot guy, and then I try to approach this lady, and oh my God, the lady did not pay me attention. Oh, this is terrible. If you did not teach them that, it's just that you got the lady not yet. Then he just had to keep trying. You get a point. Like right from a child, you ought to teach them the power of not yet, the power of yet, so that you can increase their capacity for failure. One of the most amazing things I've learned in recent years is that Google, one of the greatest big tech companies in the world, has in each of their plans a 40% failure rate. So if they come up with a plan, that means that they believe that 40% of that plan will not succeed. So somebody who I heard that from, that's the founder of Mind Valley, who I heard that from, said he took that to his company when his company was suffering 3 long years of things not going right. And as soon as he brought that idea and many other things coupled with that into his organization, the next year they picked up and they went global. In fact, for him, it made it a 50% failure rate in his company. So that people knew that whatever plans that we are talking about right now, 50% of those plans would not materialize. And when people did not get it, you got it not yet. So that means you can still get it. So when you increase their capacity to deal effectively with failure, when they're trying to network, for example, some of you think, oh, when I'm trying to network with the speakers that I'm bringing to the International Masterful Speakers Masterclass, you think it's immediately that I talk to them that I get them. No. When I talk to them and they are not able to attend that month, I immediately say, how about next month? Because I know it's not like they rejected me. It's just that I got them not yet. You get the point? I will still get them. You get a point, right? So that's exactly what you want to train your kid for. And I can go on and on and on. But what you do honestly, when you increase the failure rate of your kid, is you don't know what you're doing. You're actually making your child to possess a ROSE, ROSE, which is the rate of self-evolution. When you increase their failure rate, you increase their rate of self-evolution, so that they are constantly evolving, metamorphizing into several shades of them, so that their peers who knew them 2 years ago, when they will see them in the next 2 years, their rate of self-evolution has been so increased that they are moving at a rapid rate, and they see them in the next 2 years. Wow, like really? I mean, I knew you 2 years ago. Weren't we in primary school together? But now you are, oh my God, come on. I never knew you could get this smart. Because you are using the power of not yet to increase their failure rate. What you did not know you were doing was you were increasing their rate of self-evolution. Oh my God. We're feeling this evening. Okay. So I think for a final thing, I would just say, part of the the how-tos that I'm giving us this evening. The reason I'm actually, let me confess to you, the reason I'm not flowing very much from my points to the other points is because I'm actually operating off a very messy note. Okay, so let me confess to you. So if I were not operating very messy note, I would be a bit more seamless in my transition. Now the final action point I want to give to you is celebrate the little wins. Let them know it's okay. Little great deeds mean a lot more than heroic deeds. Several years ago, I read in a book, the title of the book, I think it was in 2012 or 2011, 2012 actually. I read in a book, the title of the book is Everyday Greatness by Stephen R. Covey. And parenting is the greatest, most amazing, life-shaping, life-impacting form of leadership that ever exists. Parenting is the most life-shaping, destiny-shaping kind of leadership that ever exists. And that's why you see great leadership coaches, they study parents a lot. In fact, there was a particular year that I devoted my leadership training to just studying parenting. I read every parenting blog I could read. I read parenting books. Everyday Greatness is an amazing book. It's not a parenting book, but it's an amazing book. Do you know what that book did for me? It made me to stop being too fascinated by heroic deeds and to begin to value people in my life for the little great deeds that they accomplish. I spoke at a conference once, and after the conference, somebody was already staged to interview the speakers as we were stepping out to the red carpet. And as soon as I stepped on the red carpet for the short, I was interviewed by this cool lady who said, we enjoyed the session today. What really inspires you? What makes you speak with so much passion? What inspires you? I said two things, actually. Number one, the great, grand, glorious deeds of God in the universe. That's number one. Number two, the little great deeds of ordinary people. When I see ordinary people, when I see my masterful speakers doing their first video, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. It's a little great deed. You overcame it. You thought you could not do it. You thought you were camera shy. But here you are. You did it. Awesome. Proud of you. Keep speaking masterfully. That inspires me. That makes my life feel so rich. Make your kids to rejoice in that, and you to celebrate their little great deeds. Pay them. In fact, John Maxwell said the reason he became an author was his father sent him to a Dale Carnegie, training, and then his father would pay him for reading books. If he completed a book, when other parents were paying their kids for washing the dishes and other things, his father would pay him for reading books. Look at that. That was a little great deed. He completed a book and he knew he was going to get a paycheck. Oh my God, who would love to read? Okay, so friends, what I've talked to you about this evening is building confidence and self-esteem in kids and training kids for the global world. Maybe as a final note, before I just wrap up, I would like to say that what you actually want your kids to get, I've told you that you want to make sure that they are excellent in the way that they live, in the way that they love, and in the way that they lead. But let me tell you this, leaders are people who do not learn by living. Leaders are people who lead by learning. In other words, there are two categories of people in the world. Those who learn by living. They live, and that's the way they get their learning. Life is basically their tutor. Okay, good. Experience teaches them, they burn their finger and then they learn. It's not okay to put your hand into the fire. That's the way to learn. They crash in business. They do not advertise. They do not do this. I'm like, oh, I got a crash in business. So maybe now I learned that if I do it that way, I would not be able to get a success. They do not read books. They're not driven by books. So leaders are people who live by learning. The things that leaders do are actually driven by the lessons that they are learning. So here is it. I'm not saying you shouldn't learn by living. I'm just saying let it be that 80% of your learning drives your living, while just a few percentage of your living will drive your learning. So I've already said that building confidence and self-esteem in kids will come when you focus on two things. When you want to make sure that your kids see value in who they are, which is the significance of their identity, and they see value in what they do, which is the significance of their contribution. You see, the actions that spring from the solid core of confidence are discharged through this double barrel medium of value in who I am and of value in what I do. So friends and parents, fathers and mothers in the house, and aspiring fathers and mothers in the house, if you do all of these things, if you model it for your kids, they'll be excellent in the way that they live, in the way that they love, and in the way that they lead. And what else does the world need? The world is waiting for somebody who has come alive, who can spread a lot of love in the world, and who can lead change in the world. And that would be raising an excellent child, because your kid is going to go out and do a lot of amazing things in the world, and you'll be a proud father and a proud mother who would be seeing an extension of himself in such a great being who has accomplished far more than you can ever accomplish in your own brief life. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
Wow. You blew my mind.
Thank you.
Wow. And I'm so grateful. And I'm very sure that our parents in the house are equally grateful. So parents in the house, I just want you to say a word. Just tell me what you've learned from this special training. It's been so hot. I mean, my notes are so full. So parents, let's hear you. What have you learned? What have you learned, and what has changed about your mindset in training your kids? Let's hear you, please. Unmute yourself and speak up. Okay, I guess I'll need to call names. So we have Ebuka Amuka here. So can you just tell us what you've learned, one or two things you've learned from this seminar? Mr. Ebuka, I guess you've been following. Let's hear you, please. We need feedback. Okay, he's not coming up.
And I would really appreciate contributions too, because I'm sure I must have not covered everything there is.
Please, I just need contributions, please. This has been so eye-opening. So I just want you to talk. Tell us what you've gained from here. Mr. Idowu David, let's hear you, please. Unmute yourself and let's hear you. Okay, I guess I'll call Mrs. Oluwapemi Awolu again. So, Mrs. Oluwapemi, what have you learned? As for me, I'm so full right now. Mrs. Oluwapemi.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. David, for that eye-opener that you just gave us.
Thank you so much.
I'm taking home and I'm putting on my left hand so that I will not hit with it is celebrate them, celebrate little ways. When they do something good, encourage them to do more, celebrate them. Those words will go a long way and to make them happy, make them feel like they've done something big that what they don't with you. I've learned that she celebrates more and make them feel proud and happy. And wow, mommy likes this. I've done well. That will make them feel something bigger. Hello, good evening. Another thing I learned yesterday was talking about the spiritual growth. Hold on. Hello, Mr. Ibuka.
Hello. Good evening, ma. Good evening, ma.
Okay, one of the things I learned yesterday about the spiritual growth. Okay. Well, talking about the spiritual growth, I found out that you don't do what you are. As parents, if our spiritual life is not sound, we cannot teach our children to read the Bible, to pray. Exactly. And we are in a world that's full of a lot of nonsense. And I found out that most parents don't care about their
I wonder if Mr. Ibuka could mute himself so that when he wants to speak, we can call on him.
I'm muting 10 minutes. Okay. Most don't even bother about the spiritual life of the children. And one of the things I learned yesterday was talking about their spiritual life. We should let them know God themselves. It's not the religion of my parents. It's my religion. I mean, it's my God. I've come to understand that this is God. It's not because we all go to church. You know, we are brought. They take us to church in those days. But now we should learn to give our children understand that it's not because mommy and daddy is going to church, that's why you have to go to church. Because you need to serve your God. Get them go to the place of level of understanding who is God to them. I pray God will help parents of these days. Amen. Most of us these days we are too busy. We have a lot of things we are working class parents. We have little or no time for our children, you know, and we need to see them as God gave us these gifts, and we need to invest in them. It's whatever I do with them that we need. Our parents must have invested so much with us. That is why we are somebody today. For parents of today, they've forgotten, not because they are in a world of technology, a world of a lot of good things happening around them. In those days, when you look at our homes, how many parents have washing machine? But now, we are in a world of washing machine. So we forget to teach our children how to wash clothes. That's the word. And we need to understand that it's not about them that they will know. Because life today, I guess today, a lot of parents are comfortable and they forget where they were coming from. And they think they are doing, they lack for, and forgetting that they need to put some good moral into the life of these children. I think God will help us. Amen. Thank you so much, Mrs. Oluwapemi. In fact, I'm so grateful. Thank you for that beautiful feedback. I want to ask a candid question before we hear from Mr. Ibuka. To be very candid, most times we usually look at kids that were raised. I'll be talking about Nigeria now, and kids that were raised overs. There is a difference between kids that were raised here and kids over there. So I want to ask Coach David and any other person who could contribute,
why do we have such gap? Because you can be very sure what kids can, probably a kid that has been raised in the UK or in the USA, you can be very sure that that kid can do some things that kids here cannot even dare. They cannot do it. So what is the reason for this? Can we call it heredity, or is it the influence of the environment, or what could be the cause?
It's surely going to be exposure, right? You know, people are prodigies. Those kids were at a very young age of 5, 4, 6. They're already known around the world. The prodigies, right? These kids, it's not like they got a lot of talent more than other kids. It's the fact that they got exposed earlier. You know, I think there was this prodigious drummer that right from this prodigious drummer was a kid. He was got like drumming sticks, and that was it. Like from a baby, and that was exactly what this little boy got exposed to. This baby boy got exposed to, and it was taken often to drum concerts. So and look at it, it was put around that area often and often again. And so there was a natural, and the people that were celebrities over there. One thing about kids is they can recognize a celebrity. Every kid loves their pastor, even if you're even if your parents don't like your pastor, you will like your pastor because it's prestigious. Everyone is seated, and there is this pastor. He's the only one who stands up and addresses the entire church and moves the crowd. Wow, the kids know. They just love it. Like, that's awesome. So what I'm trying to say is that when they see that the people are celebrated around them are people who do this kind of things, they want to do that kind of thing. So its environment, over there, overseas, they are, everything everything is digitized, everything is already, there is technology built into almost every process, and there is a civility about that society over there. It's a free society, and over here in Africa, as much as I like culture, there is something that I always want to push back when we're trying to say let's advance our culture. And let me say, I'm still drilling myself to speak Yoruba better. I mean, we should be able to speak our language. I'm not disputing that in any way. We must speak Yoruba in the best possible version. I was speaking to some kids on Thursday, and I got to certain points, and I spoke in Yoruba, and they started to laugh. It was a fantastic session. Yeah. Anyway, and then I got to a point, and I was praying, and then I switched to Yoruba in the prayer, and they started to laugh. And I had to explain even in the prayer that there is no better way for me to pray that prayer than to pray it in Yoruba. You get the point. So I love the language. I'm not saying we should give up the language, but let us notice certain things about the language. The language is not so progressive. The culture that surrounds the language is not as progressive as, the culture of the language is primitive. So if you're gonna say, okay, let's promote something primitive, you've got to civilize even the culture. So you're trying to protect a culture. You're not trying to reinvent the culture. Culture makes people because people make culture. That's the point. So we are seeing that our culture is not in step. Can you hear me? We are seeing that our culture, because my laptop is frozen up over here. Okay, we're seeing that our culture is not in step with the world. And let me also say this. We compare ourselves with China. Like China, they have Chinese, and some other countries, they have some local languages that they speak. But that's a general language. None of our languages is a general language, even in Nigeria. Like, you move from here and you go to Kogi, and as soon as you begin moving upward from Kogi, Yoruba is no longer valid. That's in the same Nigeria. That's about 8 hours from where I am right now. Your Yoruba is no longer valid. So if you've been wondering why can't we elevate our language into an international language, that's the problem. Even as a nation, we do not speak a single language. And so that language is not as progressive. And I know I'm speaking some bitter truth that I'm going to get bashed for. I'm known for that, okay? I speak bitter truths. Okay. So the point is this. When they're overseas, they're trained with the language of civility. And if you're going to master Yoruba, you have to dumb down your thinking. When you are mastering English, you have to elevate your thinking to a level. There has to be some logic to it. But if you're going to master Yoruba, you have to dumb down your logic. It's crazy. So I think these are the things around us that actually make us groomed to be people who are low thinking, low speaking, low acting, delayed in a lot of things. But then I think there is a value in our culture. The value here is this. There is a mental toughness to our culture. The people over there, they get trained with all these amazing things of life, but if they get threatened, they wallow into this depression immediately. When there is power outage for a little while, they get scared. Just little things just scare them. They're so babyish and so chocolatish and all of those kind of things. But I love it over here that we have a lot of mental toughness. So yeah, let's get the civility over there. Let's get the toughness over here. Yeah, be an African man.
That's so amazing. As a diction teacher, I get bashed virtually every day. Why not speak your local language? Let's promote our culture. When you speak in English, you always speak in English. You want to be like the whites. And I tell them, excuse me, this is the only language that I will speak. You will understand. Another person from the north will understand. Another person, you understand, because we have diverse languages in this same Nigeria. And this English language, there's nowhere you will go to. You can't go to an interview and you tell them, no, I want to promote my culture, so I'm speaking in European language.
Even if you want to become the secretary of their Alafio for you.
Exactly. You still have to speak in English. So English language is, like you rightly said, bring down their civility, and let's maintain our toughness. That's a very beautiful one over there. So Mr. Ebuka, I guess you're still in the house. So let's hear from you one or two things you've learned before we wrap it up today. It's been so amazing.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. You're welcome.
Okay. Let me start from the words people earlier discussed. To what I understood and what he said that touched me, he said that don't search for it so that you can easily get it. And from there, I coagitated or meditated or reasoned over some things. I discovered that peoples can be addressed as vision that is actually written. And when the vision is being carried out, it becomes a mission. All of them are in line as peoples. And the same peoples can also be twisted as dreams, as prophecy. Even scriptural Bible said in Joel chapter 1, verse 2 or verse 20 something to 28, he said that young men are given visions, and old men are given dreams. That means dreams are the vision that is not actually finalized, that have not finished, that needs to be transferred to someone else. It could be a descendant peoples that is being in line. In relation to children, you can also say that when a parent is passing on a vision to their children, it becomes unfinished peoples, which is a dream of their parent. I don't know if I'm making points.
Yes, I guess you're talking about purpose now, right?
I'm talking about people's, yes, and I'm now relating it to the area of children. We also discussed about care, about is it care about children? I don't know the actual topic in relation to that. We discussed about children issues in the society. Hello?
Yes, we're with you.
And so what I learned is that the greatest investment every parent can have is in their children. Like one man said, is it Richard M. Strauss, said that children are the sum of what parents contribute to lives. Children are the sum of what parents contribute to life. And to my own understanding, I can now say that children, the greatest investment any parent can have is in their children. And when you now realize that God created and parents are only caring for the children, that means the paramount thing as a parent, you must first of all link the children to their creator. And when God created any human being, a new thought has been generated from him. Noticing there is something to be carried out through that child he has given to you. And it now depends on you. That's why we pray. Not that God doesn't know our desires. Not that God doesn't know what we are requesting for. But he wants us to mention it, to recognize his input, to recognize him as the Almighty, to recognize that he exists. That's why he handed over the children, telling you that the vision which he has said that this is what you will become. If you didn't link them to their creator, or you didn't direct it, seeking to know which vision or which mission or which purpose God have sent this child through you, you are not getting it. Every other thing should be secondary. Any child that recognizes their God can take care of every other thing. You can even see as a Christian youth that is schooling. When a Christian is schooling, a pure Christian, a core Christian, a Christian that is not living a divided life, that is not living a secret life or a hidden life somehow, that is his life is not contradicting, is focusing on what God decide or is deciding for him. You will live a life of focus. And when you are living a life of focus, you already have a sense of where you are going. That's what I'm trying to point out there. I don't know if I should continue, but I can shut up here. Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us about children.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn from you.
I can feel your passion, sir. I can feel your passion.
I have a desire to be a speaker just like you. I think a lot. I meditate a lot on issues. Like I was meditating on something somebody said in terms of reading just before you discuss about the meeting. I discovered that as old as you are, if you are reading frequently, you will look younger.
Awesome.
And as better as you are, if you are reading often, you will look older than your age. Are you getting me?
I think people will perceive you as though you're older than your age. There is a wisdom in your head that is like, for example, I kid that you are 16, but you speak like you are 60. You are 17, but you speak like you're 70. 13 like 30.
You will still look fresh because you are reading frequently.
Yeah.
Your knowledge is being expanded.
At 60, you have the sweet 16 sensation.
Yes. You are in the spirit.
I get it. I mean, we are in the spirit very well. We are. You can see the things at the back, right? It's not a joke, brother. Okay, let me just quickly say some things, like a comment on some of what you've said, and you've made some amazing contributions, I need to say, and I just want to quickly say that um, based on what you already said, and it's a fantastic idea, particularly about vision and its relationship with purpose and stuff like that. I think there are some things I did not say. I just mentioned the first point I often give when I'm to give a talk on purpose. The second thing I would say is that I think people are attaching their purpose to a profession or something, and that's a wrong thing. You're attaching your profession to a purpose, your purpose to a profession, to a job. Mr. Ibuka, could you just mute yourself so that people can hear me better, so that we can have a sort of better audio production? Sorry about that, and it's not your fault. So basically, what I'm talking about is that people tie their profession to their purpose, and they're like, okay, it's this profession that is really my purpose. I was born to be a medical doctor. As if when they were born, when their parents took them, when the nurses took them out of the womb of their mother, they opened the palm of the kid, and on the palm was written medical doctor, or on the forehead was stamped medical doctor, or engineer, or lawyer, or a computer scientist, or whatever it is, as if that's exactly what God stamped on their forehead as they are coming into the world. So the second thing I often say is that when I read my scriptures, I find that you will prosper whithersoever you go. That's Joshua 1, I think verse 8. You'll prosper whithersoever you go. Maybe verse 7, but around Joshua 1. Let's just say Joshua 1. You prosper wherever you go. That's what is written in scriptures. Like, there is no particular location. If you are really in purpose, if you are living for the glory of God, there is no location where you cannot flourish. Now, God can direct you to a particular location. He's going to direct you to several locations at several points of your life. It's not like, oh, Abuja is where the people are making it, I have to be in Abuja. No. Your purpose is not tied to Abuja. It's not tied to Lagos. It's not tied to UK, USA. So even if I have to go to the USA, to the UK, to Canada before I can make it, you can be here and you can still make it. You can be here and still become globally relevant, right? So that's one thing. The second thing I want to point out under the second point that I often give is that the Bible says that it's whatsoever your hand finds to do. So it's what, there are people who are like, this is not my way. They tried for the first year, the second year, the third year. They're not making as much progress. It's not my way. I was like, come on. Who told you it's not your way? I mean, come on. It's whatsoever your hand finds to do. Pour in your energy, pour in your effort, pour in everything. Make sure you are doing it to the glory of God. But that's not all. You have to balance it with the last thing I often say. You know what you always see on the slabs of newly constructed buildings when they are dedicating those newly constructed buildings is slab, right? And on that slab is always written, this project is dedicated to the glory of God and for the benefit of mankind. So what I say always at the end of the talk, after I've explained what I mean by your purpose is not missing, you can't find it. Mr. Ibuka, can you please unmute yourself? Mute yourself rather. Sorry. There is an interference. My voice is getting into yours. I'm very sorry about that. Okay, yeah. So that kind of slab, right? That is always placed on new buildings, and it's written there, an inscription. This project or this building or this library or whatever it is that they are dedicated is dedicated to the glory of God and for the benefit of mankind. So I often tell people towards the end of my talk, when I've explained to them what I mean by your purpose is not missing, so you can't find it by searching for it, I say, do all things to the glory of God and for the good of people, for that is the whole purpose of your life. So whatever you do, whatever your hand finds to do, and you do it to the glory of God and for the benefit of people, for the good of people, whatever if it's nursing, if it's doctoring, if it whatever it is, if I'm a doctor and I help people commit abortion, I don't think, even though I'm making a lot of money and I'm making some people happy, because they committed abortion, I don't think I'm walking in purpose. I don't think so. That's not to the glory of God, and that's not to the good of even the unborn child and even the person I'm helping with the abortion. So you get a point I'm making, right? I know that can be touchy, that can touch some people over here. But if that has ever happened to you, and you are under Christ, you are under grace, you're in Christ, you're under grace, and your past is totally taken away. So what I'm trying to say here is this: that is the whole purpose of your life. Whatever your hands finds to do it with all your might. Do it to the glory of God and for the benefit of people. That's the whole purpose. Now, when you found your purpose, right, the next thing you would have to do would be then to build a vision around it that you are very passionate about, a mission that you're very passionate about. I don't think the vision or the mission would create the purpose. It's just that the vision and the mission would actually flow out of the purpose. So that, yeah, it's not like the world is waiting for what I want to do to the world, but I want to look at what God wants to do in the world, and I will plug into what God wants to do in the world, and I will find something that I would do for the glory of God and for the good of people, because God ultimately is the most passionate person about the good of people in the world, and I want to do that in a way that would also glorify Him and benefit people. So I build a vision around it. I make it my mission, and I get passionate about that, and that drives me for the rest of my life to His glory and for the good of people. That would be such a good life. All right, so I think that's it, brother, and we are very much on the same page. And then I also want to say something to what Mrs. Tolulope said. Initially I said something about the fact that do not ask what the world needs. Ask what makes your kid come alive, and orient your child towards that direction, because what the world needs is a child who has come alive. So there are parents who are making the mistake. They're like, okay, what makes me come alive? Then I orient my child around what makes me come alive. What the world is seeking is not a child who has come alive with what makes the parent come alive. It's the child who has come alive with really what makes the child come alive. So you get a point. So find what makes this child come alive. For you, it might be music. If you're lucky, then it might be music for your child. But if you're not too lucky, right, it might be something else. It might be coding for your child. So find that. Is it coding? Even though for me it's music, is it coding that makes my child come alive? Then orient your child around that. I can remember Miss Sarah last year spoke on this platform, particularly at this conference, and she told the story of a man who found that his child was always playing video games. Rather than condemning this child, the man sat beside the child and played the video game with the child. And then the father told him something. Think about it. Don't you know that have you ever thought that there are people who design these games? And the child's like, what, really? There are people who design these games? Don't worry, I'm going to take you somewhere where the people design the games. And it took him there. And the child not only played video games, but became a video game developer. Look at what the father did. Figured that the child played video games and oriented the child towards that direction. So we can go on and on. Parenting is a lifetime thing, and we can talk about it. We're never exhausted. So at this point, I will resist every temptation to talk anymore. So I'll just hand it over to the MagRubies Institute, Mrs. Payne. Thank you. It's been a wonderful time. Mrs. Payme, we can hear you. Mrs. Payme, we can hear you. We can't.
don't you wait for minutes?
Mrs. Baby, you're welcome back.
I'm sorry, I've been having issues with my network. Yes, you wrapped it already?
No. I can wrap it up. It's not my show. Others have left.
I'm so sorry about that. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you so much. We are so grateful for having you tonight. So, Coach David, I'm so indebted to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we'll talk via WhatsApp.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I feel more indebted. Good night.